Interesting question I got asked. Did Babyface write better songs outside of Laface Records? Because Laface Records was his joint venture with L.A. Reid on Arista Distribution. So how was his career outside writing? Well, the interesting thing is uh, the Boomerang soundtrack was out and End of the Road was on it. So that was one of his biggest songs ever. In fact, that was his biggest song ever. That was on the Face Records. Obviously co-writing with Ali Reed and with Daryl Simmons on Rock Steady, and they hit with other things. But uh End of the Road was huge. That was LaFace. That was the first imprint on the LaFace. That was the soundtrack. Damien Dame was the first one, but the soundtrack, and that was huge. So then I got to figure in Tony Braxton stuff. Now, obviously, work with Bobby Brown, so it's like if I pick sides, Tevin Campbell was on Warner's, but and then of course the Wait and Exhale soundtrack. But the Boomerang was big. The two TLC albums, which were on the Face Records, the Tony Braxton two records on there. So he didn't have any say with anything to do with the Outcast records on there and some other projects. But it's not, it's a pretty good argument. Yes, they had big hits for other acts. He wrote for a lot of acts. But he had big hits on the Face records. Sometimes when these artists get their own label and then it doesn't quite traject or project like that. Well, this one, he did pretty good. Babyface was one of the most happening singer-songwriters from the late 80s to the 90s. And he was able to bring that to the label and actually make that thing hit. So, he's a rarity that when he had a label that he had semblance of big time success, because you could make the case. I mean, Crazy Sexy Cool, which came out uh 31 years ago, was big on LaFace Records, and they wrote, had big songs on it. And of course, their debut on the TLC tip, big songs on there. So, then Tony Braxton, I mean, he hit. So you can make the case, big albums, big songs, because LaFace Records did have big time success. They weren't just your typical boutique label. They actually had some pretty big bangers on this. So his writing was big on